Ano, bulol ako. Miguel of shout out, JM Montalban. Salamat. Nabulol ako eh. Salamat, GM. Gising ka na pala. Can we use music? Can we use your phone music? Miguel of shout out, Annalisa Ocampo. Salamat sa pagdalaw.
Apparently a lot of stuff that they like to eat, and I've seen geese that you wouldn't believe, but no guarantee this time that we're there. See, the weather's getting colder, they're gonna hang around. They're gonna plug off down south. They go through sometimes in about 1,000. I saw one day I walked out in the backyard, and snow geese were going by. They were low, very, very, very low, and they're way back of the house. They were flying single file, and I bet you the line of them was probably 3 football fields long. So I got big. I watched this big chain going. It's up over the top of the trees, down. Never ever seen it since. Sometimes you can hear them coming, honking away. Sounds exactly like that.
Is that turkey sounds?
Okay, Uncle Up, just saw a sign, Dead Creek Wildlife Management. And the good news is I see some cars up ahead. I see you, I see.
It's not time to get out there. Okay, there we go, see him?
Yep. All right, now.
Look at the cars here.
I know.
Well, that means a lot of geese. Look at them out there. See them?
Yep. Let's go up there. Oh, look, there's
Wala yung signal minsan.
At Dead Creek, we met up with my cousins and Brian Pfeiffer, a member of the Vermont Audubon Society, who runs several bird tours.
This is a refuge for them. They can't
Shout
be
out
hunted
G.
here.
Montalban and Annalisa
And they know
Ocampo.
that they can't be hunted here. I mean, these geese are really smart.
Happy
All around
Thanksgiving.
this refuge, sort of beyond the perimeter of what we can see, are hunters with decoys and weapons loaded, you know, for these birds. There are at least 3 different kinds of geese here. Obviously, we see lots of snow geese here. Canada geese are here. But also, we're seeing regularly Ross's goose. It's a small version of a snow goose. They have a bluish base at the bill, whereas, you know, snow goose has that black grin patch, you know, where the upper and lower mandibles meet. And people think that we're nuts, you know, because we come out here and we look at all these snow geese, but I've spent days out here when I've looked at every single snow goose that I could find. I may look at 10,000 geese looking for one Ross's goose. It's also
again.
Ross's R-O-S-S R-O-S-S apostrophe S. Ross's goose.
Big love shout out Lady Sha.
Yeah, I want to shoot one now.
Yeah,
See,
so do I.
Hey, so look, I'm looking up there, much higher than the others we've seen. There's a V forming. Are they leaving?
Those birds appear to be leaving. Also, if you look right over the parking lot here is a bird that's hovering. That's a red-tailed hawk hovering. But yes, those birds are leaving. You notice the V formation? You see how one arm of the V is longer than the other?
Miguel up shout
We've
out
actually
Rudy's
figured out why that is,
Adventures.
why one arm is longer than the other.
Miguel up shout out James Berman. Miguel up shout out Jamis Miss Wanderer. Miguel up shout out Sissy Acanta Calipos. Miguel up shout out Easy Talamera.
I'll never forget the look on Uncle's face. He put on my cousin's cape because of the cold. When birds rose up,
Miguel up shout out Baby Boss Samar.
it was as if the ground where the snow geese were had been covered
Miguel
with
up
snow,
shout
and then
out
someone scooped it all up and
Tunit
threw it in the
Dalwatan. Big love shout Sissy Show USA Vlogs.
Lying down.
Big love shout out Rye Motor Vlogs.
Let's drive by.
What are you going? What's up?
It's the wrong way. Go back.
I mean, I think that these geese are one of the great natural events in all of New England.
Big love
Think
shout
about
RC Channel.
movement of whales up the coast, or
Is he
spotted
the way-
salamanders going to vernal pools in the spring. But these geese are
Big love shout out Red Maya. Big love shout out Maya Pinay.
and you have. I mean, when they all flew over your heads. You know, I mean, that's just. I live for that every fall.
Then I told
Big
the
love shout
soldiers
out
one time
Jordan
going
and
by
me.
down through Cornwall.
Yeah.
Looked out back, and it was nothing but a thin white line
Yes.
as far as you could see, and tree height. As
Yeah.
far south as you
Big
could
love
see,
shout
far
out
north.
Jen Little
One long
Adventures.
Yeah.
column, Probably thousands of them.
Thank you so much, Brian.
Sure. We're getting frozen. That's right.
Oh,
What'd you think?
mamaya pagdating ko doon sa bahay, Annalisa, bigyan kita
Nice.
bigyan kita ng damit. Nagda-drive ako eh.
Group lifted up, took off.
Oh, it's tremendous.
Talagay pa ko.
With weather like this, they'll be taken off out of here. Gone.
Oh yeah.
When they go, it's like click, turn.
Nakalagay ako ng damit kay Annalisa.
Well, you want to get something to eat?
Big love shout out
Want to get something
Sir
to eat?
Tatay Ron Cadorna Sapnit.
What, you?
Big love shout out Ate Floor TV. Big love shout out Jablas TV.
A return visit to the Snokies of Vermont with my late uncle Lachlan McLaughlin Field, who passed away in 2004 at the age of 91. I think of him often, especially when I see a line of geese stretched across the sky.
A thin white line as far as you can see, and tree height. It's one long column. When they go, it's like click, turn the light off. You're gone.
But farang dark. It's feel dark over here.
And you're listening to Here and Now.
Support comes from Janice Henderson, a proud supporter of Colorado Gives Day. The December 7th statewide event encourages philanthropy in Colorado. Janice Henderson, invested in connecting.
Big love shout out
Support comes from Shindig, online
Tiger
computing
Week
with in-person
TV.
dynamics. Speakers take video chat questions from any in and
Big
out
love
of
shout out
house.
Linley
Plus,
Macau.
participants
And on to the
Big love shout out
from CPR.
Big love 1929.
Funding for Here and Now comes from WBUR Boston and the Music Emporium, guitar sellers for more than 50 years,
Oh.
celebrating the enduring presence
The
of music made
music
on the
is
front
not
porch and center stage. You can learn more at themusicemporium.com. And WBUR, presenting Endless Thread, a podcast exploring untold histories and unsolved mysteries
He was
from
doing a
across the
music.
internet. The new season of Endless Thread, with host Ben Brock Johnson and Avery Sievertson, is available now. Listen for free on Apple.
Holiday extravaganza hosted by me, Ryan Moore. Live December 8th, Masked and Vaxxed at the Newman Center in Denver, with performances by comedian Elliot Wilson, jazzman Freddie Rodriguez Jr., and Naomi. Tickets at cpr.org/holiday. Supported by First Western Trust.
Support comes from Gaylord Rockies Resort, presenting Surf Dreams Holidays, a Broadway-style musical and surf adventure, part of Christmas at Gaylord Rockies, now through January 2nd. Learn more at Christmas at Gaylord Rockies.
Thanksgiving with the interview I recorded with Paul McCartney a few weeks ago. He has a new book, and on Thanksgiving, a new documentary about the making of the Beatles album Let It Be will start screening. He'll tell us how that film rewrote the narrative in his own mind about the final days of the Beatles. Join us.
Fresh air today at 2 on CPR News.
I'm Stina Sieg with these headlines from CPR News and KRCC. Despite a dusting of snow in the metro area, the National Weather Service says Denver got only a trace of flurries. That means the city has 218 days without measurable snowfall, extending the modern record. In a handful of metro counties, everyone but very young children should expect to mask up as they do their holiday shopping, dine at restaurants, or enter any public building. In Denver, businesses can register to allow vaccinated people to go without masks, but they must be able to confirm with the city that nearly everyone in the building is fully vaccinated. Other counties with indoor mask mandates include Jefferson and Adams. And Aurora police have arrested a second suspect in connection with last week's drive-by shooting of 6 teenagers near Aurora Central High School. Officers questioned the 15-year-old suspect Tuesday night.
Funding for Here and Now comes from the listeners of WBUR Boston and from your NPR station. From Sattva, offering mattresses made with eco-friendly materials and handcrafted construction, delivered with setup and old mattress removal included. More at SAATVA.com. And Noon, a personalized program based in psychology to help people understand their motivations, change their habits, and lead healthier lives. Learn more at Noon, NOOM.com.
From NPR and WBUR, I'm Scott Tong in Washington, D.C. It's Here and Now. The Pilgrims' arrival in what is now Plymouth, Massachusetts in 1620 has been celebrated and taught to school children as the origin of what would become the United States and Thanksgiving. Elsewhere on today's show, Peter O'Dowd takes us to Plymouth, to the mythical landing site of the Mayflower, Plymouth Rock. He met up with Donna Curtin, executive director of the Pilgrim Hall Museum, who led him to a rather small rock.
So we have the poor little top of the rock that's been exposed, as you can see, to the tides coming in, covering it twice a day. It's covered up underwater. And this placement was done about 100 years ago in 1920 because the rock used to be up on higher ground, and people were kind of confused, thinking of it as a landing place. It should be down by the shore.
Now, it isn't very big.
The poor rock has been chipped and split and dropped and souvenir hunted for centuries. So we're looking at something that is not in the prime of its youth and glory, but has been used and interacted with sometimes pretty aggressively over the course of many, many generations.
Well, that's one part of the national story. But for Native Americans, Thanksgiving Day is a reminder of the slaughter of millions of indigenous people, the theft of their land. 51 years ago, the United American Indians of New England declared Thanksgiving a national day of mourning, and the tradition continues today. Tanya Mosley spoke with Keisha James, the granddaughter of one of the founders of the National Day of Mourning. They spoke in 2020.
Your grandfather helped start the National Day of Mourning after he was asked to give a speech 50 years ago to commemorate the 350th anniversary of Plymouth. Tell us the story of what happened that led to your grandfather's speech.
Sure. So the Pilgrim descendants decided that they wanted to hold a banquet to commemorate the 350th anniversary of the landing of the Mayflower, and they wanted a Wampanoag man to speak at the banquet. They invited my grandfather under the condition that he would provide in 21 years. And for many of us, National Day of Mourning takes on a religious significance, where we'll actually fast from sundown before the day of National Day of Mourning to sundown on National Day of Mourning. And it's really a time to remember my ancestors and what they went through and the genocide that took place on these shores. And it's also a wonderful time of Indigenous unity. We have Indigenous people from all over the world speaking at National Day of Mourning. So it's just a wonderful time to get together with Indigenous brethren and sort of commemorate our ancestors and look toward the future.
This has really become an international day of mourning. to really remember indigenous peoples all over the world. You know, it's been said that our country right now is in the midst of a racial reckoning, and we've been questioning our relation to power, and this definitely extends to celebrations like Thanksgiving. What would you have non-native people do on this day in ways that center indigenous people?
So I would first say educate yourself, educate your children, if you have them, your siblings, sort of whoever's in your life, educate them about the real history of Thanksgiving, and try to divorce your Thanksgiving celebrations from the Thanksgiving mythology. So no more pilgrims and Indians, no more teaching your children about the first Thanksgiving as we learn it in public school, where it was a friendly meal. And also really try to take a minute to learn about the tribe whose land you're on, and their struggles, and if you can financially donate to those struggles. But really just try to make Thanksgiving not the only day you think about indigenous people out of the year.
Have you had a chance to talk with non-indigenous people about this? Because so much of America's identity is tied up in this story. This is one of the foundational stories of America. But as we learn more about our history, we're learning that the day was not this day that we've been taught in schools. What have people been telling you as they've come into this consciousness?
So there are really sort of two schools of thought people fall into, where there are some people who are very receptive because over the years they've sort of understood that most of what they've been taught is a lie. For example, Christopher Columbus, his legacy was far more brutal than is taught in schools. They've sort of had to come to a reckoning that they're perhaps not taught the truth in school, and so they're quite open to learning about the truth of Thanksgiving. But unfortunately, there is a pretty significant chunk of the country that doesn't want to face the truth, and so we get comments from people sort of saying, why do you want to ruin this day? Like, just let people eat dinner with their family type thing. And of course, we always say that we're not against Thanksgiving as a concept. You know, I have nothing wrong with people getting together with their friends and family and eating a meal together. You know, that's not the part of Thanksgiving I object to. It's the Thanksgiving mythology. And so we're essentially extending our hand to these people and saying, here's the truth. If you want to learn the truth and accept the truth, come with us. And unfortunately, some people don't want to take our hand because they're committed to dying on the wrong side of history.
As we mentioned, this all began with the speech your grandfather wrote. Would you mind sharing part of it with us now before you go?
Sure. So I have chosen an excerpt at the very end of the speech, and he says, today we must work towards a more humane America.
He's looking on the roof. Something wrong with the roof.
Yeah, he's talking on his phone. Do something with all this.
Are you gonna use it? No?
All right now.
I wanna watch this.
Back.
Don't touch it. Hold it. Just hold like that, don't touch. I don't need it.
All right. There you go.
Nice. Merry Christmas.
Happy Thanksgiving. Later.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. Come in. Come in.
Come in. Where did she go? He go? Happy Thanksgiving. You're on YouTube. Say hi. Joshua, say hi. Say, Mega Mega Love shout out. Come on. Giddy, 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 giddy.
Ready. Got it on the table all ready to go.
Mega Mega Love shout out. Happy Thanksgiving. Oy, ka-pretty man Anna. Hello. Hi. What you doing there? Is that your chair? Is that your chair? Hello. Hello. Which one you make? What did you make? Look at Uncle that he make. Wow. He make the everything.
I made this and that and that and that and that and that.
Cat's got his seat too.
Good job. Now I can eat what you make.
No, you stay down there.
Yeah, you can try that. See the one for you.
No.
No.